What's up guys, my name is Ace, and it's time to have another look at the flinch mechanics in COD World War II. With the Divisions update, we had a few changes here. First off, the primed basic training skill is gone. It's just been wiped off the face of the earth. It doesn't exist anymore. If you guys did use a permanent unlock token on primed in the past, you should notice that you have an extra permanent unlock token at the moment. So they did actually refund that for the people that spent that on that, which is great. But that flinch reduction from the primed basic training skill has made its way over to one of the divisions, and this is armored. This applies to the 4th tier skill, and with this it's actually worded greatly reduced flinch when shot. Ever since people have seen the description for this division training skill, I've been flooded with comments and tweets and everything asking me to test this to see if it's exactly the same as the flinch reduction as primed, or is it a greater reduction because of the way it's worded, because now it says greatly reduced flinch, whereas if I'm not mistaken, primed just said reduced flinch when shot. So let's just hop right into the testing here so you guys can see some side by side. The first thing I wanted to test, just as a control here to see if maybe they changed something else behind the scenes, I wanted to test the standard flinch. So this is without armored, without prime, just the standard flinch when shot. I wanted to make sure that they haven't made any changes to this area. And when I went back, I went through the footage frame by frame of my testing pre-patch as well as post-patch using the exact same methods and everything for my testing. The standard flinch without primed or armored is completely unchanged with this patch. So no real big surprises here. I just wanted to make sure that I was covering all my bases with this. Now let's have a look at what you guys are here for. This is going to be the base flinch versus the amount of flinch you have when using the armored division. As you can see here, it is actually a pretty massive reduction to your flinch with the armored division, a lot more than the primed basic training skill. Before this patch, it was actually kind of surprising. The primed basic training skill did almost nothing to your flinch. For a lot of people, it was a placebo. Even for a lot of the pro players out there, they felt like they really needed primed and it made such a big difference to their flinch, when in reality, it had maybe a 5 to 10% reduction to your flinch. It was almost completely unnoticeable. This definitely isn't the case with the new armored division. When I broke these down in Photoshop and actually measured these distances, it's approximately a 50 to 60% reduction in your flinch when using the armored division, which is very massive. So I can definitely understand now in the competitive rule set, they've actually restricted this division training skill. So if you're using armored, you get all the other benefits, but you don't get the benefit of this reduced flinch. I can see why they did that, because it would potentially become a crutch, because it is very noticeable the amount of reduction you get to your flinch. Having said all of this, I would say this flinch reduction isn't going to be a crutch sort of thing in public matches. Ever since we got that change all the way back in December to the global flinch values where they reduced it across the board, I really feel the base flinch is in a decent place at this point. If you're aiming center mass on an enemy and he's not at an extremely long distance, generally flinch isn't going to be much of an issue for you. You'll still stay on target most of the time. The only time I really noticed flinch as maybe a bit of an issue is when I was actively going for headshots, because obviously if you're aiming at their head and you get flinched upwards even just a little bit, you are going to end up above their head just shooting the air above them. So personally, at least for me, the armored division isn't going to be a crutch, at least not in the sense of getting that flinch reduction, although in the other areas where you're basically immune to tacticals as well as lethals, that is extremely powerful, and this flinch reduction is a great bonus added on top of that. So once again, just one more time, let's have a look at that slow motion comparison between the standard flinch and the armored flinch. It's quite a nice reduction and it's definitely going to help, but in my mind, it's not really necessary. And with that, I'd like to know in the comments section below, what do you guys think of these changes? What do you think of the fact that they just completely removed primed as a basic training skill, and they ended up tacking that flinch reduction and also buffing that flinch reduction on the armored division? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.